All right, guys, number 2 in the sticks lineup. This is one of our first hybrid sticks. There's 2 in the lineup. We're gonna get into that. This is a 7'2" medium power spinning rod. This is much more similar to the spinning rods that people are used to in bass fishing, a little bit heavier power than the number 1 and slightly shorter as 7'2". What this is gonna do, it's gonna allow you to throw a bigger deal like Wacky Rig Senko, something with a little bit more weight, smaller crankbaits, poppers. If you want to drag a shaky head, it's for that little beefier setup that the finesse stick would be a little too light to fish. Now, balancing out the 2 in the spinning rods, balancing a real light one and a medium one was great because we were able to separate all those categories which require a spinning rod and a little bit more power into the number 2, and everything that requires much less power into the finesse stick that didn't currently exist on the market. Now, why we call this the hybrid pair, okay? You're gonna hear the number 2 and the number 3. Those are both hybrid sticks. One's a spinning rod and one's a bait caster. If you do not own any bass fishing rods and you're looking into sticks and you can't afford the full lineup, that's great. You wanna start with 2, get the number 2 and the number 3. You wanna start with 2, get the 2. Kind of makes sense, right? It's synonymous. But what I like to throw on this rod is, like I said, a little heavier worm, shaky heads. I do drag finesse jigs. I'll fish smaller underspins and slow roll those. I have 8-pound line, and if you've heard me talk in other videos, 8-pound line is a very universal weight for a spinning rod of line. If you're fishing real light stuff, I would go back to that number 1 finesse stick and fish that real light stuff on 6-pound. But 8 pounds a little bit more forgiving. You can throw that wacky rig around tules, branches, and still have a little bit more power to horse them out. Now, the taper on the hybrid spin is slightly faster. It's still more towards moderate fast. Moderate would be bending in the middle, moderate fast just up from there, but slightly faster. What that's gonna allow you is a little bit more pinpoint control. The lighter setup, it's easy to throw. The baits don't have a lot of weight. Once you start getting into weights with baits with a little bit more added weight, a slightly faster action could give you that control. Now, the moderate fast taper is also the most difficult to build into rods, but this was critical in sticks because we know nowadays we're fishing fluorocarbon lines, braided lines with low stretch, and you need a rod that's going to make sure there's no point of failure in between you and that fish catch. Like all of our rods, the hybrid spin comes with Fuji O guides. These are those very durable guides. They're great. We want a workhorse rod for you. We don't care if it looks like a Ferrari. We want a workhorse sensitive rod that's going to get you by. And it also comes with a nice rod sleeve, so when you toss it in the truck, you're good to go.